Hey, it's your girl Nay coming to you with another episode of As Told by Nay, the podcast. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of As Told by Nay, the podcast. I'm sitting here with my good friend, Mr. Kitt.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
Hope you guys are ready. We have a great conversation today. This is a special edition of As Told by Nay. As you see my beautiful alma mater in the background. We're going to be talking about HBCUs today, the importance of them, our experiences, and all of that good stuff. I got a letter for you guys today. And then Mr. Larry and I are going to go ahead and dive into, what it means to be the product of an HBCU. But before we get into that, we're going to go ahead and toast up for the evening. And today we are toasting to a timeless rivalry and the continued success of all HBCUs, really. Because at the end of the day, we're all a big family. A little different. It's not my usual. All right. So, first things first. Got 4 questions for you.
All right, bring it.
Excuse me, come again. Answer them as honestly as possible.
Okay.
And yeah, we're going to go from there. Question number 1. Do parents owe children explanations and apologies?
No.
Oh, you answered that kind of quick.
No, but yes. So sometimes you need to let your kids know, like, hey, this is why I'm doing this, or this is why we're going about things this way, so that in the future they know why, and so they can apply it in the future. So,
right.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
I agree. I had that conversation with one of my clients, and she was just ready to argue me down about the fact that I'm right, they're wrong, I'm big, they're small. But I think that is where, culturally, we go wrong a lot of times. So I'm good answer. Question number 2. If you had the choice to experience love and know you would lose it versus never knowing real love at all, what would you choose?
Experience love.
Yeah. So you agree with the cliche that it's better to have love than to
Absolutely.
never love at all?
Never have love at all. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Question number 3. What do you find funny that other people don't?
What I find funny that other people don't. Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'm a geek, man, so I watch a lot of like Discovery Channel.
Okay.
I watch a lot of home and garden TV, stuff like that. So I'll be watching things on TV that people will think are dry, and I'll be cracking up. I'll watch a little flip or flop, and I'll be loving it.
Hilarious. I asked that question because I'm one of those people that laugh when they're uncomfortable or like in an awkward situation and where most people wouldn't find things funny, but I can't control that. And so people will always ask like, why do you think this is funny and no one else does? But yes, it is. So I was just curious as to other people who probably are normal and don't do that, but I'm sure everyone has something that they laugh at that other people don't laugh at. Okay, cool. So then question number 4. 3 words that best describe you.
I'm a driver. I am very disciplined when it comes to certain things.
Okay.
And I'm a joker. I like to be the life of the crowd sometimes.
How are you? Okay. So that's the perfect question to lead into. How about you go ahead and introduce yourself? I know I said your name already, but just let the people know a little bit about you before we get into this combo.
All right. How's everybody doing? As it is obvious at this point, I am a wildcat. Went to Bethune-Cookman University. I'm originally from Fort Pierce, Florida. I lived there my whole life up until I went to school. I was fortunate enough to go to school and be able to call myself a marching wildcat. I did that for 4 years.
Oh, he said fortunate. Okay.
Upon leaving Cookman, I moved over here to Sarasota. I've lived in Sarasota since '09. Worked various jobs, but right now I work in court administration and work for our criminal justice system.
Oh, nine. Has it really been that long that you've been down here?
Since '09, yes, ma'am.
Dope. Okay. So, uh, Mr. Kitt and I crossed paths. I have been corrected back in '08. In Minnesota, of all places. I had the opportunity to attend the IOBSC conference in Minnesota that year. Big shout out to Mr. Keith White for exposing me to that opportunity. Criminal justice was my minor. I majored in psych, of course, and so that's why I was able to embark on this experience with another fellow rattler who also happens to be my best friend.
Shout out to her, by the way.
Shout out to Christina White, of course.
What's up?
And that's where we met, all the way in Minnesota.
It was cold, bro.
Found out he was a wildcat, and we'll talk a little bit about why that was important and also why that then led to a continued friendship. But before we get into that, can you kind of let them know IOBSE? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't know.
Right, absolutely. So the IOBSE is the International Organization of Black Security Executives. So what it is a group of executives from all walks of life, but primarily in the security industry, whether it be retail security, personal protection, public security, so Allied and G4S and things like that. So individuals from all different fields that come together, help folks like us, folks in the college, folks, and just beginning their professional experiences helps us find our way. They also host a conference once a year so everybody can get together and kind of look at the trends in the area and things like that.
Okay. Cool beans. And because I had that opportunity, I was actually able to talk a little bit about it with one of my friends whose little brother ended up going to FAM, and he found interest in.
Yeah, IOBSC was definitely a blessing. So for me, I got linked up with IOBSC in 2005, my sophomore year in school, and I fell in love with it. I was able to kind of follow along that path. They helped me get my first job right out of college. They helped me get my last job. It was a continued relationship. So that professional, organization, it was great.
Good deal. All right. So that is Mr. Larry Kitt. We're going to go ahead and get into this letter. I'm going to read the letter for you guys, and then we'll discuss it. So, dear Nay, let me start by saying I definitely enjoy watching your shows on Thursdays. I don't know you in real life, but I enjoy the connection made through your discussions. With that being said, I want to get your feedback on education. I am currently finishing up my second year at a community college. I am a Florida resident and plan on continuing on to a university here in Florida somewhere. Where I'm from, I don't have a lot of friends who went to college, and in my family, I am the first. I always dreamed of playing football, so imagine my disappointment when I got hurt senior year and had to let that dream go. I went to community college to buy myself some time to figure out which avenue I wanted to take. I have explored your page a few times and see that you attended FAMU. Can you give me a little insight from a personal perspective of what it meant for you to attend an HBCU? Do you think there is a major difference in HBCUs versus PWIs? How important is college education, do you think? I am an African American male who is pretty much learning to become who I want to be all on my own. And although it's a challenge, I embrace it. So standing at this educational crossroad, I just want a little input from those who have stood here before me and made awesome decisions. Much love, little boy blue. So I definitely wanted to get a male on to have this conversation, for one, because, this young guy is a guy. And so I know that hit a little different than women deciding to come to college. Right. So we will definitely explore that. And then I've got my own kind of questions I want to explore as well. So just right off the bat, college. He asks, how important do you think going to college was. So I kind of want to tie that also into, for you, how important was it for you to go to college, and how did you decide that you wanted to go to an HBCU, and then furthermore,
Right.
Bethune?
Good question. Good question. So for me, my father didn't give me a choice. It was he had a weird set of choices for me. So it was either go to the military, go to the police academy, or go to college. I wasn't going to the military. I don't like fighting for myself, much less somebody's country. So I wasn't going to the military. I was interested in going to the police academy. Hence the reason why I kind of pursued criminal justice. But I knew I wanted to get a degree behind it. So college was the obvious choice for me.
Mm-hmm.
For me and from my perspective, I think going to college is extremely important.
Okay.
Unless you know for a fact that you want to go into a trade, and that's your passion and something that you want to do. There's a lot of people like that, mechanics and HVAC and things like that. Unless you know for a fact that's something that you want to do, I highly suggest going to college, whether it be a 2-year program, a 4-year, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Not only because of the education piece, but because of some of the life lessons that you learn,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the things that it gives you beyond just learning the books. So I think it's extremely important to go to college.
Okay. And then a step further, how did you decide HBCU and Bethune at
So
that?
for me, it was an easy choice. I was a musician. In high school, I played the tuba, and I found out really quick that for obvious reasons, the bands or everything at HBCUs, they offer a lot of money for musicians, especially for African American musicians. So it was an easy choice for me. Like I told Nay, I went to FAMU band camp first, but Cookman cut the check, so that's how I decided on which school I was going to go to. It was an easy choice for me.
Okay. Okay. So for me, college was my way away. I was ready to leave Sarasota. School was never really my favorite thing. Like high school, I kind of just did what I needed to do just because my mama ain't play that. But she also pushed college, and I said, sure, why not? Because I can get out of Sarasota, tired of being here anyway. Definitely wanted to go to a HBCU, mainly because of the community that I grew up in. I'm from, Sarasota, and my community is pretty like the same people that I was in kindergarten, elementary, middle school to high school. For about 2 years, I moved to North Carolina with my aunt, and I had a culture shock. They lived in a predominantly white area, and so the high school I went to was nothing like the high school that I was used to. And so even just for that short amount of time, I was like, oh, I can't imagine like going to school like this, where the teachers really don't care. You're not really noticed in your class when you need help. It's kind of looked, and it just was a big divide. And I was like, oh, I don't like this. So it was at that moment I was like, I'm going to HBCU. And how I got stuck on FAM was I originally wanted to go to Clark. I wanted to leave Florida altogether. Applied to Clark, got accepted, was like online. I had picked classes and everything. And my my stepsister was like, she had picked her orientation time for FAM. And she was like, well, just come to orientation with me, because I had applied to FAM as well and got in. I applied to BCC and got in as well. And it was BCC when I applied. I applied to BCC. Okay, in 2007, I applied to BCC. And so I went on a college tour, and I did not like the way that it looked. That was my turnoff from BCC. And so, yeah, I ended up going to FAMU's orientation, and I was sold. Like, it was a great time. I liked the campus. I had met some really amazing people. Ended up going to a couple of like the classes. Again, I was on the psych track, so I met some of the professors, and I was just like, this is a dope vibe. I could do this. And so at that point, it was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and let Clark know it's a no, and I'm gonna go to FAM. So that was my move, and it was the best decision I've made in my life thus far. The best.
But okay.
All right. One up by going to
the great
BCC.
Great.
So that leads me right into, okay, so you went to Bethune. Give us a little bit of background of your school to your knowledge. Let the
Right.
people know.
So, an historic university, obviously founded by the great Mayor McLeod Bethune. She was a wonderful person. She was heavily involved in the political arena at that point. She founded the National Council of Negro Women. She was best friends with Eleanor Roosevelt at the time. Um, so she had a lot of clout for to to say. Um, and the school is basically built around her legacy, built around her will that she left us. There have been a line of great presidents that have kind of continued that legacy and built the school. The school gets bigger and bigger every year. The school gets more and more diverse every year. It's an incredible institution, if you ask me. It's very historic. I'm a history buff too, so I love that about the school when I was
Clearly.
there. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's just a great place to be.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So here's the here's the funny thing about that. FAMU is definitely rich in history and culture. I, for one, did not take the opportunity to explore what that meant when I was a student. For sure, I was definitely distracted by other things, but I can tell you what I did take away from the history of FAMU while I was there. I did learn that um, when it was founded back in 1887, it wasn't always FAMU. It was the state normal college for colored students. And then it got its name FAMU, Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, later in 1953. And it was founded by Dr. Gibbs. There's a couple of different halls and buildings, streets in Tallahassee, Florida, named after this great man. Another great line of presidents behind him. I was there under Dr. Emmons. He was amazing. Don't know who the president is now. Somebody check in and let me know who's president now.
This guy, come on, man.
What guy?
You
Because I don't know who the president is right now.
do not know who the president is right now.
Because I don't go there.
Shout out to Dr. Christie, president.
BCU
Great.
always know what's going on at fam. They want to be fam so bad. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not a I don't pay attention to detail. I don't pay attention to
You locked in, man. We locked in over here cooking.
that don't got nothing to do with the school. That got something to do with the person. Because I could have went to Cookman and still couldn't tell you nothing about it.
You go to cook.
Nah. So I'm more of an experienced person. So then that is what we're next going to talk about. What do you feel is the most important thing that you took away from your HBCU experience?
Wonderful question. For me, and this is going to be different for everyone, but for me, it was discipline. Um, at Cookman, it was a smaller environment, and maybe not necessarily a small environment. It got a lot bigger as I went through my process there. But um, the professors, they paid a lot more attention to you. Your advisors paid a lot more attention to you. You knew pretty much every professor on campus, and they all played a role in your growth. And they didn't just allow you to mess around. You had to be disciplined. You had to put the work in, and either you did it the way that they taught you how to do it, or you had to leave. It was pretty much that simple. So between the band process and between just a typical day-to-day classwork and things like that, the amount of discipline that you learn and how to control yourself and control your temptations and not want to go out and party and not want to go out and do this because you got to be working, you got to go on a bus in the morning and drive to another city. The amount of discipline that I gained from that process was instrumental in my growth. It's not only in school but once I left school.
Okay, that's what's up. For me, I would have to say it was the fact that fam instilled a sense of pride in me, and not only for the love of my school, of course, but just for myself, my family, where I came from, where I was going. Um, a complete process. I can say growing up, I was kind of sheltered a little bit. didn't really know too much about much. So growing into myself as an adult at FAM, one of the reasons, like I said, that I even chose the school was just having those conversations with professors on a weekend orientation and just kind of like being able to tell that they really did care about, what my plans were, how I saw my life 10 years from now, what I wanted to gain from, higher education. And it just was like from day one, stepping on campus, they instilled in you like dress, look like something. You can't come to class half stepping. There was forum where you had to get dressed business casual. They taught you this is what you wear when you go on job interviews. This is how you carry yourself. This is how you introduce yourself. This is how you ask questions, answer questions. And it just was so it was just a different vibe, and it brought about a different understanding of who I was. Even to this day, when I go to like conferences or trainings, I introduce myself the way that I did in school because we were taught to do that.
So that brings up a good point for me. So one of your earlier questions was why college? Why go?
Mm-hmm.
The process of knowing how to dress, the process of going through an interview, the process of how to address someone in a professional setting. Those aren't things that you can just easily learn out in the
Right.
street. So when I say if you don't want to do anything other than if your plan is not to do anything other than just a general trade, you're going to need to learn those trades.
Mm-hmm.
And it is hard to learn those on the street by yourself
Agreed.
without going to college. And if it weren't for going to Cookman and having access to the people I had access to, I wouldn't have had those. And for someone like me who interviews, dozens of people a year, and they come and sit in front of me and they don't have those traits, and it's like, man, if you would have just, gone to college and had the experience that I had, maybe you could have, maybe you would see where I'm coming from when I'm like, oh, I can't
Mm-hmm.
hire you right now, things like that. So that was a good point that you brought up.
Yeah. There are people will sometimes laugh about the extraness of Florida A&M Rattlers, but you would not, and maybe you will, but the amount of doors that have been opened because of this greeting that I give, or the elbows that I've been able to brush up against because of how I carry myself and present myself in this extra fashion, it's because of, I was groomed through my university. And so I appreciate all my extraness that FAMU bred because it was definitely needed in my adult life. So did you have any I know you said you were a band guy. What other influences did you have like leading you to a HBCU? Or was that
Um,
pretty much it?
no, no. So the band was obviously the biggest piece of it. Obviously because it paid the bills. But the other thing for me is I think I knew, pretty early in life, like if I was going to go to college, what type of environment I wanted to be in. I think one of the questions that the young man asked was why HBCU over
Mm-hmm.
PYI. It's sometimes it's really about what the fit is for you. And every HBCU is different. Every institution is different. And for me, I look for an institution where it wasn't going to be too much for me,
Mm-hmm.
too much temptation, if that's the best way to phrase it. But where I could still be free, still learn, still get everything I needed. But where there just wasn't too much temptation, too much for me to get into, and too much for me to get distracted by.
Okay.
So Cookman for me provided that. It was really the only institution in Florida for me that provided that type of environment.
Mm-hmm.
On top of the fact that it is the great Cookman University.
Hmm. Okay. So influences. So again, raised up in Florida. One of my family's traditions um was attending the Florida Classic in Orlando. Someone was telling me like back in the day they actually used to hold it in Tampa, but that was before my time. I was introduced to the Classic in Orlando.
Me too. That was before me.
And it's always the weekend before Thanksgiving. So like we would be out on break or coming up on break anyway. So my family would ride out to Orlando, just spend the weekend down there, and just the environment of seeing old school Rattlers, new school Rattlers, old school Wildcats, new school Wildcats. It just was like I don't even know how to describe it other than like a big ass family reunion.
Once I decided on an HBCU, just based on I'm like you, I went to the classic every year from the time I was in the 5th grade to the time I went to Cookman.
Yeah.
There is nothing like it. And your soul, the experience is amazing, man. The classic is just
If you're from Florida and have never experienced a Florida Classic, you are missing out. You're missing out. It's a great time.
And it's only going to get better now.
Yeah.
It's only going to get better.
I'm excited to see what it's about to be once we're allowed to go outside again. My grandfather actually was a Wildcat. R.I.P. Granddad. And the conversation that we had when I told him that I decided to attend FAMU will be ever ingrained in my brain because it was just such disgust on his part, and I know it was all out of love. So I definitely want to move into a little bit of that rivalry conversation. But I had 2 uncles that went to Bethune on my mom's side. And then on my dad's side, everybody was a Rattler.
So my mother is a Wildcat. My father was a die-hard Rattler.
Really?
Anybody that knows my dad, anybody that knew my father, he was a die-hard Rattler. My aunt is a Rattler. One of my best cousins, everybody that knows her in our hometown, she's a die-hard Rattler. Everybody else was die-hard Rattler. So, the rivalry was there. So, true story though. So, when I found out I was going to go to Cookman, right? So I had went through the FAMU band situation, and I had gotten a tryout at Cookman, right? So my dad took me and my best friend to Cookman. Drives us up there. My dad hates Cookman, has always hated Cookman. This is what it is. I'm pretty sure I had on the FAMU shirt today to Cookman, right? So my dad drives us up there, and we go for our auditions, and the band director brings us in. He brings me and my best friend and my father into the room, and he hands my dad, he skips us. He hands my dad 2 pieces of paper and says, "Listen, this is what I can do for you." And it had our scholarship amounts on it. My dad looks over us and said, "Well, I guess y'all going to." That was the end of the
no
conversation.
questions asked. Listen, that's what I say. I don't blame you for making the decision. Was it the right one? We can argue that, but I don't blame you. That was your way in. So I feel like your life would just be so much better if you would have came on over to the other side. But you think
too much temptation?
See, why do people say that?
For me personally,
okay.
I'm not saying for everybody else. For me personally, it would have been a mess. Tell you right now, I wouldn't. Boy, me and fam, oh Lord.
So I feel like, and then I want to talk a little bit. We're gonna talk about the rivalry, but your experience and your knowledge of like other HBCUs, because I don't know if you watched my show last week, but I had a guest on who had said if he could change something about his past that would, affect his future, what would it be? He said he wished he would have went to an HBCU, and that he just didn't have much knowledge of, and I'm grateful that I grew up in Florida because there are several HBCUs here, just in Florida. So I had an understanding of, what an HBCU was and what it had to offer. But what was crazy is I didn't know there were so many until I went to FAM, and it just opened the door of wanting to attend other people's homecomings. And then I was like, oh, it's a lot of HBCUs.
You hear about, obviously Cookman and FAM in Florida, Grambling, Southern, Howard, and Hampton. You really hear about those, but once you dig into it, there's 40, 50, something like that, maybe more than that.
Yeah, it's more than that. I was looking at the list before we came on here, and I was just like, wow. I tried to write down a list of all the ones that I knew off the top of my head, and it wasn't even half.
Yeah, there's a lot. Every state, there's a lot. And it really goes down to, for me, if you're trying to make that decision on what type of school you want to attend and then where you want to go to school, it goes down to two things for me. It's location. So how far are you comfortable with being away from your family? Some people don't mind being on the other side of the world. Some people do. Um, and what type of experience you want, and what type of experience you can handle. Those two things go, together. Like I said, for me, it would have been too much temptation to go to a bigger school. So I could have gone to FAMU. I could have maybe gone to another school, but I knew just based on my own internal the way I was at the time that going to a bigger school with all of those people just wouldn't have been good for me. So it really just depends on what you can handle. If you are a social butterfly and you want to be around a ton of people and you want to be around a diverse population, that's the other thing that the bigger schools, FAMU, some of the bigger schools bring to you. They bring a more diverse population,
Right.
not just black folks there.
Right.
Don't be confused.
Common misconception.
Common misconception. There's not just black folks there. So if you want to be around a more diverse population, you want to go to a bigger school. Excuse me. If you don't mind being around a smaller group of people, or if you need to be around a smaller group of people in a more intimate environment, you're going to want to find a smaller school. So, and there's schools of all sizes. You can go to something small like at Waters. You can go to something medium sized like Cookman. You can go to something massive like FAM. It's really just all based on what type of experience you want to bring back,
right?
And what type of experience you can handle.
I think for me, that's why I thrived at FAM the way that I did, because I am a social butterfly. I enjoyed all the different organizations on campus, the diverse population, being able to insert myself in just a bunch of stuff that I didn't get growing up at home, pretty much. Campus was freaking huge in my eyes. I just would visit some other HBCUs and be like, where is the rest of it? Because this is a lot, going from class to class to the cafeteria back to my dorm. Did you stay on campus?
My freshman and part of my sophomore.
How was that?
Staying on
campus life.
Campus life? It's different everywhere. No, I think campus life is probably similar, man. We had the dorm life. Here's another thing why you got to research where you want to go to school at. So at Cookman, Cookman is not only an historically black college, but it is a Christian-based university, and you got to have that in mind when you're looking at your schools. Cookman did not believe in allowing males and females to cohort in any way. So at night after 7:30, I think it was, after band practice, so 10, 11 o'clock at night, whatever time it was, females went to their side of campus and the gates got locked.
What?
They don't play. And then the males went to their side of campus. It's a lot different now. They got co-ed dormitories and things like that. Back in the day,
the gates got
there
locked.
was no mixing. So, and there's still schools that are absolutely that way. So you got to know what type of experience you want.
Right.
If you want to be in a co-ed environment, make sure you apply to a co-ed environment.
And I mean, I don't really know. FAM was not co-ed. We definitely had the girls' dorms was on one side of campus, and there was no gate, but it was a trek, to get to the boys' side of campus. And it's like, really, you don't got no reason over there once the calf closes.
And the freshman experience is also different at every school too.
Oh yeah.
Again, so that could be there's no restrictions, or you could be Cookman was extremely restricted. Was it really strict?
Yeah, that's crazy.
To the freshman experience, it's a lot different now. But back then, if you were a freshman and a girl, you were on lockdown. If
that's
you were a
crazy.
Boy, you were on lockdown. It really didn't matter.
And that's one. I appreciate FAMU for that. We definitely had a shout out to the Oso Bowl class of 07. Our freshman experience was dope. We came in. We were the class where freshmen were not allowed to have cars. You had to live on campus your first year. There was like no cable in the dorms. We didn't have cable. The internet was piss poor. And yeah, like Wi-Fi. It was just it was like towards the end of freshman year when they started to even be like, okay, we're about to try and start doing things a little differently. But because of that, it forced us to really get to know our classmates. We had to make fun. We had to find a way to do everything. And campus was really our domain, and we roamed freely. On the set, everybody that's from FAMU knows what the set is. That was like the meeting ground for the males and females, because if you was a good guy, you wasn't gonna make us walk all the way down across the yonder to get to you at night. So you was gonna meet us on the set. The set ran right there by the door, the girls' dorms. It just was fun. I am still very, very close with all of my classmates. And it's a lot of us. And again, like some of my best friends I met at FAM, like all the girls that I hang out with, all these wedding pictures you see and bachelorette trips and baby showers, all people that I went to school with. It really is, you build a family, and it's dope. So in a bit, I'm going to actually call one of my good friends who actually went to the PWI that was across the way. For those of you that don't know, predominantly white institution, our PWIs. She went to Florida State, which was like right across the way from FAMU.
I don't like nothing until I ask you. I told you that, right? Okay. Just make sure we clear on that. Go Gators, by the way. Tom.
Get out of here with all of that. Anyway, she actually went to Florida State, but was a part of my dance team at FAM. Yeah, they definitely used to come over. So she got a little bit a taste of both worlds. So one of the questions that he asked was, what is the like major differences between PWI versus HBCU? I can't tell you what was going on the FSU. What? They didn't have nothing really. FAMU Strikers was lit.
It was lit. Yeah.
Shout out to the FAMU Strikers.
Shout out
to FAMU Elite Dance Squad. They breathe the best. That was another reason why I went to FAM too. Watching a halftime show at the Classic, and I'm a dancer, and so I was very intrigued by the little Golden Girls. The little Golden Girls. But I felt like that was just a gimmick that the band used, because I didn't really see them doing too much of anything else during the game. But are they?
Listen, no, true story though. Those girls work harder than anybody in the band. They show up. Number one, there'll be 50 of them that show up for tryouts. To make the team of 9 and 2 extras, man, it is hard. Those girls work hard. And
I'm sure no slight on them girls. No slight on them girls.
Dancers, they all are trained dancers. They're not just come off the street and dance. They all are trained, take dance classes. It ain't easy, and they work hard.
I just and then again, I don't know what y'all was doing over there at BCC, but what? See, that's where you're wrong, because that's what I was just about to say. What turned me on to FAMU was Elite's dancers were on the field and in the stands, like doing majorette. And that's what interests me. So it was like, okay, the Golden Girls had halftime show, but then they was just over there being cute the rest of the game. Whereas FAMU dancers are dancing halftime while the band is doing their little thing in the stand. Like do you know how hard it is to smile the whole game and dance? Smile and dance and look good? Oh, okay. Come on. That's like, all right. All right. But yeah, dance life was definitely thriving on FAMU's campus. Outside of band, did you do any other organizations?
So obviously I was a part of the international organization Black Security Executives. I was a part of their chapter on campus. Model United Nations, Criminal Justice Association, band obviously.
He was real involved.
But I got try to get involved as possible.
That's what's up. I between trying to juggle being an adult for real, go to class, and my freaking dance team was a full-time job, like for real. I didn't really have time to explore anything else.
If you looking to go to college, don't get involved in too many.
Right.
It take up some time.
For sure, but
you can put that on your resume.
Yeah. I think one of the best times for me was during campaign season, when everybody was campaigning for different
like presidential elections.
Yeah.
They got bus
Dope
ass.
though.
You gotta have somebody with a bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The freaking what they call outside?
Banner. Oh, the billboard. Oh,
Yeah.
they get real.
It was just like, y'all serious about this thing? I was definitely on a couple different campaign teams, but I was not about to.
I'm about that.
I was not about that life, but it was interesting to be a part of. All right, let me try and get my girl on the phone here. She answers. Give her a couple questions, ending up this convo. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Bree.
Hey,
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well, blessed and highly favored. Um, I got you on the line because we got a letter. I don't know if you were watching the show or paying attention, but there was a guy who was asking about HBCUs and the difference with PWIs. And so I kind of want to get a little bit of insight from you from having attended Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
one of the things I want you to kind of, and just be honest, about your experience. Like, what do you feel were the benefits of attending Florida State versus you coming to FAM? Because your brother actually went to FAM. So
Right.
what was your deciding factor of, I'm gonna go over here to Florida State instead?
The crazy thing about me going to FSU, my brother going to FAMU is that we are both first generation students on both sides of our family, mom and dad. So when my brother decided to go to FAMU, I actually did. Me and my cousin at that time, I think we were freshmen in high school when he was getting ready to graduate senior in high school. So I did get to see the campus and everything like that. But I was excited for him because it was his moment. But the crazy thing was, college still wasn't on my mind. Like when I graduated high school, I wanted to go to hair school. I wanted to go to school for hair. I was trying to do dual enrollment at my school, but I would have had to graduate early, and I couldn't participate with any of my class stuff. So I was like, I'll just wait till after I graduate to do it. In between time, my mom and my brother kind of talked me into going to school. I was never, I couldn't tell you anything about a school. I couldn't tell you about colors. I couldn't tell you about sports. I couldn't tell you about nothing about nothing about it historically. That wasn't my thing. I just wanted to go to hair school, and that was going to be it for me. And so the funny thing is, so when my brother is how I found out about care, because I went through care at FSU. My brother brought the program information to my mom, and they kind of taught me into it. That was the only college application I did.
Oh.
Now, I was supposed to apply at USF as well. I think one of my closest friends was going there. My best friend, we had been friends since first grade. So I'm just like, okay, well, I'm gonna apply there because that's what she thinks she going. Even still, I didn't have insight on it, and so I ended up only doing the FSU application, and I got in, and that's literally how I made my decision.
Okay.
On what school? It wasn't anything about. At that point, I was all oblivious to the whole HBCU thing. It was nothing like how it is now. Even my brother, I think his views are a lot stronger now than at that time because he was just going off what he was researching for himself. He had nobody to give him that information.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to Florida State on a whim. Just, all right, we're just going to pick school. I feel you, though, because I think and there's a lot of people who, unless you're into sports or band or something, you're actually guided towards a specific school, it really is kind of like, well, see what we got. Look at the draw. Okay. So how did you feel as a minority on campus? Just what was the whole campus life thing like? Do you feel like you had enough resources? Do you feel like your professors actually cared about, your growth?
I would say, as far as resources, especially, well, specifically with care, you have a lot of resources. They have a care lab where you have tutors that tutor every subject. You have people that are proofread papers or whatever, but you have to come a certain amount of days before the assignment starts due. But even outside of that, I would say that I still think that there are a lot of resources, even when it's outside of academics, but like even like the financial aid being helpful and stuff like that. I remember getting phone calls with voicemails left, like if I had a hold or something on my account, stuff like that. So I can say that the support was good. As far as the classroom, I think it varied depending on what subject it was. Before I got into my major, and really was just taking major classes, with the prereqs, it seemed like it wasn't. I would say some of the professors weren't as hands-on, wasn't as serious. I guess I don't know. But when I got into my major, I would see a lot of the same professors. So they were very, very helpful, very, I would say, hands-on. A lot of them, it was very tough. And one thing I can say when it that I do appreciate, with going to FSU was like, I know that I had to work my ass off. I'm sorry, I don't know about that.
Nope, you good.
But I remember even a few years back, my brother got a job at FSU, and I think it was actually with care, if I'm not mistaken. And during his training and amongst talking with students and students coming to him and stuff, I remember him sending me this long text saying how he gained another level of respect for me because he didn't realize how tough it was for minorities at that school. And I'll tell you, I had my rocky times, my highs and lows, you know what I'm saying? So I was very proud when I did graduate, but it was never something that I thought I'd be doing like as a child,
Right.
When I would say like there were times where I remember being a freshman and I can't remember what course it was, but I think I had already took what was actually the beginner's college course in high school because I went to a law magna high school. And so I was on the next level of classes. I was the only freshman in there, and it was only 2 black students in there, me and this other girl. But I was the only freshman, and I remember I used to feel like I had to be on my A game because I felt like I was a little black girl. They was going to try to show me up type of thing. But it was crazy because that classroom was a lot more welcoming of me. I don't know. It was always like, you'll see a few spots here and there in class or whatever, but I don't know. For me, I think it wasn't as bad only because the high school that I went to was a law magna high school, so it was, you could go to that school if you lived anywhere in Broward County. It wasn't a black high school.
Right.
It was some of everybody there. So it wasn't as much as a culture shock for me going to FSU because I had been in a diverse area, with students before.
Right.
So that's something I've learned to appreciate because it helped me deal with different types of people because obviously, even though I didn't go to FAMU, I grew up in the hood, so that was all I ever knew. So I can definitely say it's helped me with learning to deal with different types of people.
FAMU was good, girl. Okay, watch it, cause dead smack. All right, that's really why they was closing them gates. So with you coming, cause again, I did let the people know you were actually a part of FAMU Elite Dance Squad. That's how we were connected. Did you feel like there weren't a lot of organizations on FSU's campus that you wanted to partake in, so you traveled over to FAM, or was it just more so because your brother was there, or what made that decision for you?
Well, the thing about it with that, my brother had been in Tallahassee for about 3 years when I got there, so he knew of what organizations was what, you know, and I wanted to dance growing up, but obviously dance is not the cheapest thing, you know. So I cheered my whole life. So when it was time for me to go out to school, I did want to dance. And he pointed me in the direction of the league as well. He had his organization that was a no for him because he's very overprotective with me, so for different reasons. And he just felt like I would be a good fit in that elite broad, good company, good vibes, successful people. You know, it's still people that have ties with him now, you know, that's a Fed. So that's kind of what led me in that direction. There were other organizations there, but I can just say, I think with FSU for me, I enjoyed the experience as far as getting my education and everything. But with me growing up in certain areas, I still just wanted a certain field. Like, I still wanted to be able to be around people that I felt like accepted me to be crazy and loud and obnoxious for no reason sometimes. You know, so it was easy for me to come on that side and fit in.
Right.
I don't know if I would have found that over there. I can't knock any other organizations there, but I don't know if I would have found that there. So with him just giving me knowledge on who does what, I just that was just what I cling to, you know, and I'm glad I did that. I have it's been 10 years now.
Yep.
Well, it's been exactly this spring is 10 years for me. So I have some friends that my closest friends are friends that I made from Segment Elite right now.
Right. Okay. All righty. Well, I definitely appreciate you speaking to the topic and giving us your insight. Having attended and graduated from Florida State. You enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yes, ma'am. You too.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Okay.
So perfect lead-in. HBCUs definitely give you that family vibe, family feel, from the professors down to the cafeteria staff, down to maintenance crew. Like, everybody is a friendly face. Everybody's willing to help out. It's just a lot of love. And I know I give all my Wildcats a hard time all the time, but that's like family. You fuss and fight with your brothers, but can't nobody else say nothing about them. I make jokes on social media all the time about Bethune, and then there'll be someone who is not a part that'll try to join in, and it's like, watch it.
And honestly, I think this move from the MEAC to the SWAC is going to bring us together because, you know, we're the Florida schools, we're the newbies going into the SWAC. You know, I posted on Facebook, you know, the boys, they don't know what they get into when Florida get in the mix. You know, they got Grambling and Southern, but it's about to get real. So
Florida's a different breed.
Yeah, you know, they can say
Florida's a different breed.
We can talk trash together, but, you know, you can't get in the mix. Not anyhow it works.
Question: how did that rivalry start? Do you know?
The FAMU?
Yeah. Like, what brought it about? I've heard some of the craziest little stories.
They used to play on the campuses at one point, and then I heard, I don't know.
There's been so many. Yeah, that's why I say a timeless rivalry, because I know, right? I've yet to find anybody that is a FAMU alum or even a Bethune alum that knows the story of why. And I only say that because there are other HBCUs in Florida. You mentioned them earlier, Florida Memorial, Edward Waters. And it's like, and they don't even have like, because at one point I said, well, maybe it's because we're like up here and they're down, but they don't rival like that.
They don't. I think the size of the institution plays a lot into it. Obviously, both our schools are night and day for most of the schools. Nothing against them; they're great schools still, but the size of them, so we're a little bit closer to each other. And then they don't have athletic programs. Florida Memorial just got their football team this year, I think, but not having a band and not having a football team makes a difference. So, and it does. I mean, you can say what you want, but Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman, they're the two of the, and I'm
top tier.
Top tier.
Go ahead and say it.
Hey, two of the best marching ensembles in the country. And you say what you want to say. I'll put Cookman and FAM up against anybody. And
Facts.
I'm a band geek. I know all the different schools. It don't matter whether it be a predominantly white school, whether it be a HBCU. I will put Cookman and FAM up against anybody in the country. So when you have that level of talent, when you have that level of just presence, we're gonna butt heads. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to be the greatest, so
right.
It just is what it is.
Right.
What they say, iron sharpens iron. Right?
This is true. This is true. I remember when I first got to FAM, I heard a crazy story about. They said Miss Bethune couldn't get in, so she made her own, and I just thought that was so funny because then he started the whole "we brag different," the often imitated, never duplicated.
First of all,
Real quick, what are some notable mentions that what y'all the marching kitty cats? Oh, the Pride. That's what y'all call them.
Marching Wildcats.
Marching Wildcats. What are some? Because we was at the Super Bowl with Prince. We did our inauguration.
That sounds novel until you at the Daytona 500 and finally in front of 500,000 people. It sounds novel.
When they
until you're standing on that Daytona sign marching, and you got a grandstands with 250,000 people standing up yelling at you.
I don't know. You think that's bigger than the presidential inauguration?
First of all, Obama sat down the whole time.
It don't matter.
Did he get up when y'all walked by?
We was there.
Did he get up when you walked by?
First of all, Obama had already been all up and through there because he came to the campus and did an amazing speech for us.
As well as be fun. We can do this all day long.
We definitely can. We definitely can, but that just goes to show the greatness that is HBCUs.
You gotta pass through one of our schools. If you want to do anything, I think we both had Biden on campus.
Yeah. I
think we both had Bush on campus.
Yep.
You have to pass through our institution if you want to do something in this world. So, that I think that says a lot about who we are and
right.
And what our schools are and what they mean to not only to our state but to the country.
Right.
And it also says a lot for what HBCUs mean to the country. HBCUs are a huge pipeline of not just Black professionals but just professionals in general to the general public. So
right.
I'm real big on a country doesn't just have natural resources, but they also have intellectual resources. That's your people. And say what you want, but some of these HBCUs are the biggest pipeline for intellectual resource in the country. So, and FAM and Cookman are two of the best at it. And it's nice to say that.
And that's exactly why there's not just African Americans that attend these institutions. It's not just us.
I'll tell you, being a naive freshman walking on the Cookman's campus, I'm like, hey, there's a white guy.
Yeah.
It throws you off, but then you realize, there's actually a lot of
so many opportunities, Drew. Okay. So my advice in closing to anybody that has any youngsters that are coming up and are, trying to make that decision and they want to go to college, I would definitely say look into a HBCU. Not to knock any other institutions or, but definitely look into HBCUs. The experience is just something so different. It's not. Someone was asking me, did I feel like I got less of an education because not at all. Not at all. I've learned from some of the most like my professors were freaking amazing geniuses. I'm just like, you could have been doing so much more than just a college professor, but that was their calling. So my education was not minimal because I decided to attend the HBCU. It was actually, I feel like they cared that I actually got what they were trying to teach. So it was more if I would. So yeah, look into it. You guys want more information about HBCUs, please. Everything is available online these days. Look it up. Look into it.
Take a college tour.
Definitely do that. Definitely do that. And then you'll see that FAMU's the best. Beautiful campus. And we just gonna leave y'all with that. Of course, FAMU.
Uh-huh.
9 times what? Man, shut up.
Uh-huh. Rona saved y'all this year.
We're not even about to talk about that because
next year though.
We out of time.
Yeah,
We out of time. So with that being said, make sure that you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel. Tune in every week right here for amazing conversations, amazing guests that come through to talk about these topics with me. The link on the banner below, Barnes and Nobles, get your girl's book. It is out. You bought my book.
Huh?
Because Bethune don't support nobody, but it's okay. My family is heavy with the book. Thank you guys. Get the book. If you got the book, drop me a review on that same link. And again, thank you, Larry, for coming through, having this conversation with me. A lot of people have been asking me to do this with you just from me fussing at you about your little extraness in the workplace. It goes beyond school. Like even when you're gone, it doesn't stop. Once a rattler, always a rattler, and obviously once a wildcat, always a wildcat. So I'll leave you with that. Everybody enjoy the rest of your night. Right back here next Thursday, 8 p.m. for another conversation on As Told by Nate, the podcast. Let's talk about it. Hilarious.